Welcome to Hear Me Roar. We're a student-run and produced show broadcasting live from inside the studios of Breckenridge Hall here on the campus of Morehead State University. I'm your host, Jordan Simonson, and I'm so very happy you've tuned in with us for our final spring show. Tonight, we're talking about women, and our guests will share their stories of success, triumph, and accomplishments. Sean is back to answer your questions, and we have a surprise musical guest at the end. All that and much more waiting for you on this episode of Hear Me Roar. Don't miss a minute. We'll be back right after this for our final spring show.
I will not spin plates to make everyone happy.
I will not duck to avoid hitting the glass ceiling.
I will not stay in a small box where I cannot control my life.
I will not just stand on the sidelines and cheer the team on.
I will not carry ancestral baggage, fearful that if I lay down, there will be no purpose in my life.
I will not do something well that doesn't make me happy.
I will not speak so softly that my voice is not heard.
I will not sit at home while others experience the world.
I will not wear masks to avoid being seen fully or upsetting others.
I will not convince myself that tomorrow will suffice when it comes to following my bliss.
I will not play follow the leader unless I am the leader.
Follow your bliss.
Welcome back to Hear Me Roar. I'm Jordan, and today I'm here with Maria Blevins. Thanks for being on the show today.
No problem. Glad to be here.
So you're in your final semester of getting your master's degree in art education.
Yes.
How did you kind of get into this field?
Well, as a child of Eastern Appalachia, I was naturally drawn to the arts, but I really felt kind of oppressed in that interest, and I really wanted to find a way to keep my passion of art alive and also give that back to others. So art education was the obvious answer for me, and it's been the major I've had for the last 6 years. Haven't had to change my major once, so definitely got it right.
And so last week, your work was presented in the Strider Gallery here on campus?
Yeah, at Claypool Young. It just came down last week, and this is your last exit slip for your master's degree. It was up for a week. It was titled Human Nature, and it dealt with my kind of art for social action and commentary. It dealt with hair braiding as a kind of outreach to head lice prevention, and that was what was displayed in Strider Gallery.
How does hair braiding help with head lice prevention?
So it wasn't really something that was revealed to me until I started working with disadvantaged youth in Eastern Kentucky, which was a choice I made based on art education. I wanted to work with the youth in the area. And what was revealed to me is that I had a great privilege when I was growing up as a little girl, as I feel like most people have a normal experience with head lice where you get it once from a friend's house or from school, and then it's taken care of. And then when I started working with the girls in Eastern Kentucky, I realized that many children in poverty have head lice their entire childhood. And there's a lot of depression and anxiety that kind of comes from that trauma, and it was really heartbreaking to witness. And once I started witnessing it and I wanted to make a difference, I tried to apply my passion for hair braiding that I already kind of had, and to use it as a prevention tool, as a self-esteem boost, to try and raise their self-image in a positive light, because more often than not, they aren't able to deal with this issue until they're 18 or 19, until they're able to be out of the house. So it can take that long before a recovery can even start. So any little thing can help, and it really decreased bullying. It helped, again, their self-image, and it kind of just made the environment so much better.
How did working with these underprivileged girls kind of affect you?
Well, like I said, I didn't realize that I really had a privilege until it kind of smacked me in the face. And this is some example of some of the art I had in my show, and again, some of the examples of the hair braiding that I did. So they would call this the princess braid, and it really helped them feel better about themselves. And this piece here is a very dramatic display of hair that has been cut, and that was one of the examples from my personal experience, is that many girls have their heads shaved, they have their hair cut in really unflattering manners, and it really leads to a lot of bullying, a lot of teasing, especially for the young girls, because if they have long hair one day and then shave the next, it's kind of a really obvious trigger for bullying and teasing. So that's supposed to be a really empowering image of seeing that much hair taken off, because that's something that is their reality more often than not.
I'll get 2 inches off and it bugs the crap out of me. How do you plan on expanding this into your future work?
Well, I am flirting with the idea of pursuing my PhD, possibly at Penn State or Ohio State, and I think this is something I would like to explore in other areas of America. Because not only in Eastern Kentucky, but there was recently a national study that was released that says that head lice today is actually less responsive to the medicated shampoos that are over the counter because it goes untreated so much, and through natural selection of the head lice, now it's become an issue. So I feel like anywhere I go for my PhD, I could still explore specifically this theme in any community or local school district. I feel like that is something that's going to be in every community, is this issue.
Now, I know we touched on it a little bit, but I'm really curious about these girls.
Go for it.
When you're braiding their hair and when they got the finished look, what did they feel about it? Like,
they feel fantastic. And what is really beautiful is that it started off as a way for me to do a finishing touch when I would be treating their hair. So it started off as only the girls with head lice would have the braids, but then all the girls in the camp really wanted their hair braided because they really liked the way it looked. So it was a way to unify everybody instead of really diversifying and splitting everyone up based on who had bugs and who didn't. Now everyone had really nice hair, and they were saying nice things about each other rather than teasing and bullying.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Maria, thank you so much for being on the show today. For our guests, is there a way they can view some more of your work or your pieces?
Absolutely. You can go to wix.com/mlblevins, and my office is in Claypool Young. I'll be teaching over the summer for the Summer Arts Academy, Upward Bound, and the Success Academy, so you can easily catch me around all summer.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much again for being on our show.
Thank you so much.
Viewers, coming up next, a former MSU First Lady returns home to this campus to share her thoughts during the 25th Annual Wilma Grote Symposium for the Advancement of Women. Don't go anywhere. That's coming up right now.
My name is Sally Bingham. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky a long time ago, having lived in Kentucky for quite a while. I've been a writer, published my first book when I was just out of college. I'm also a big believer in getting outdoors. I live in a very beautiful part of the country in the Rocky Mountains, so I do a lot of hiking. And I also teach from time to time. I just finished teaching a writing workshop. I think we need to try to get other writers to see what their gifts are, particularly women. My focus all my life has been on empowering women, and about 25 years ago I started a foundation in Louisville called the Kentucky Foundation for Women, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that at some point.
Yeah, can you actually just tell us a little bit about
Sure. Well, I came into some money unexpectedly in the late 80s, and I knew that this is something that very rarely happens to women. You can work all your life as a woman and end up with just about nothing. So I decided I wanted to do something that would help other women in Kentucky who are not as privileged as I am. And since I believe in the arts as an agent of social change, the most powerful agent of social change, this foundation, which I started in the late 80s and endowed with $10 million, is for grants to women who are artists who are also feminists. And as you know, in the last few years, it's been hard to get women to admit to their political persuasion if it's called feminism. We come up with a lot of other terms that seem to be more palatable. But I still hang on to that term. It has a noble history. And the foundation gives about between $200,000 and $300,000 away in the forms of grants to women. You submit your project, whatever it might be, in any of the fields of the arts, and if you're interested in social change, you may get a grant which might be $2,500, $5,000, something in that neighborhood.
So what motivated you to start this, or just like starting movements for feminism in general?
Well, I noticed, because I grew up at a time that was very bad for women, the 1950s, that even women as privileged as my mother seemed to lead very limited lives, seemed not to be able to fulfill their potential, and it was very sad, I thought. Nobody was talking about it. At that point, the women's movement was quiescent, which happens from time to time. So when it began to really bubble up in the 1970s, I found this is really my cause. This is what I believe in.
So do you have any advice for young women right now? So since this conference is called Moving to the Front, so do you have any advice for women right now who's trying to like move to the front and break the stereotypes of women?
Be fearless. And don't worry about whether people like you or not. That's very hard to get to as a young woman. We're all raised to be liked, if not loved. But if you want to bring about change, you've got to move beyond that and figure that some people probably won't like you. If you're outspoken, if you have strong opinions, there'll be some people, both men and women, who disagree with you or don't even like you to have opinions.
And so, what is the purpose of this conference to you?
I think for me it's to support women like you who are moving forward professionally and in their educations, to give them the feeling that there is support out there, psychological support, spiritual support, financial support, so that when you get to those down moments, which we all get to, you have a sense of support underneath what you're trying to do.
Welcome back to Hear Me Roar. I'm Jordan. This is Sean. There's a slight correction of our last video. That was not a former First Lady. That speaker was Sally Bingham. Sean, thanks for being back on the show with us.
Thanks for having me.
So we've got some more questions for you. You can ask these questions in future videos by liking us on our Facebook page and submitting your questions. So question number 1. What are some obstacles that women face that prevents us from moving forward?
Well, actually, there's still a lot of obstacles that we have that we face today. In the news right now, a lot of people are aware that there's a huge wage gap between men and women, so that's something that's being brought to the forefront. There's also a stigmatization of women also in the media, especially of women of color, with typical, stereotypical roles in that nature. And there's also limitations to women's health care, access to women's health care. So those obstacles have been in place, currently are still in place, but women have dealt with those barriers for years now. But a lot of people were able to accomplish a lot, great things in spite of that. So it's really about how we can overcome those or prevent those in the future.
Do you think some of those stigmas that a woman's greatest success will be less than a man's greatest success will stick around?
I really hope not, honestly, but I think it goes back to insecurities, men's insecurities, because an empowered woman, a powerful woman, they have strength. They're able to move through life on their own terms and accomplish things that in the past they weren't able to. So it's really a clash against traditional values that a lot of people hold. So hopefully those values will be able to get loosened up a little bit so women's success can be recognized as equal to men.
What do you think some ways are to overcome these obstacles or kind of scoot these traditions to the side?
Well, there's some things that we're able to do. First of all, we should be able to teach our young girls that to go against the norm, to follow their dreams, to follow what's really important for them. And that comes from recognizing or knowing their true self, their true nature, what they want to contribute to the world, what they want to collaborate, what they want to get out of the world. So those things first that could help kind of prevent certain obstacles. And also I think people in today's society, they're starting new programs like Girls Who Code. Those programs that kind of empower women to get into less attractive fields like technology or science, that we haven't really crossed those boundaries with yet. But programs like that were able to kind of cross those blurred lines and able to empower women to do things that in the past they weren't able to do.
As a woman in a science major, being a psychology major and all that, have you faced any of these obstacles or?
Well, certain obstacles I have faced. Being a woman of color, certain things are expected of me and certain things are not as expected of me. So for myself, I like to kind of do what's unexpected, do what is important to me, kind of push boundaries a little bit and, surprise people at the end of the day, really.
You think you've surprised a lot of people?
I hope so. I hope I have in the work that I do and the things I like to contribute and the people that I know and the people that I choose to surround myself with. I do hope I've, created new things for others.
What are some steps do you think women can take as they age to move forward?
That's a really good question. Well, I think older women, is really important and very powerful and empowering to be mentors to younger women. So surrounding yourself with those people that have accomplished things that you kind of want to do, you have that mentorship and guiding young girls, guiding young women to kind of push boundaries, to go after things that usually weren't able to.
Then our final question that was submitted, do the people in our lives have an effect on our capability of success? Does that kind of touch on that mentor?
Oh yeah, I think they do. And honestly, I also feel that having women be innovators, I think that is another big step that we're able to make. People like starting Think, that's the menstruation panties for women. So that's someone that are able to create something for women, thinking about the needs of women, and that was a woman creator. So little things like that really open up society's eyes, change stigmatizations, and really open up the doors for everyone else that comes after them.
Very cool. Well, Sean, thank you so much for coming back on this show, and we've appreciated all the times that you and our missing Gabby have shown up and answered our questions.
Of course, thank you so much.
Coming up next, a student from the Kentucky Center for Traditional Music recently conquered a song that she could no longer put off. This is her story.
There was times where I'd said, okay, Mom, I'll learn it. I've learned other things for her. Like I would go outside, this was when I was still living at home, and I'd practice outside so she wouldn't hear it in the house. So I could learn it in secret from her so she didn't know I was learning the song. And so I've done things like this before, but this time it's a little more special.
We started just about the time her mother went to the hospital the last time. And Samantha told me that she wanted to learn this piece for her mother.
2, 3, 4.
It's Fiddle Patch. It's a hard tune to play. It was written by Dale Potter, the great fiddler. I've seen Samantha take on several challenges and always come through. She's able to make music even when it's difficult for her to do it.
Well, with this song, because I'd heard it so many times, because my mom played it all the time, I kind of knew what it sounded like, and I'm one of these people, if I know what it sounds like, I can usually kind of play it a little bit, and so I've been able to do like the first part of it, like to a degree, without having Raymond help me with it, but I wasn't able to like decipher what the notes were after that. And so I could get the main melody of the very beginning of it, which was like the first 3 seconds, but that was all I could do. And then after that, it was all like, wow.
Okay, and now Jesse's coming in with a break, right? Scott's coming in with a break, okay. And you're coming in after Scott?
Yeah. Well, it was actually, my mother passed away on January 7th, 2016. And 30 minutes after she passed away, I looked at my boyfriend, Gabe, and I told him, now I have to finish this song. So if I got fed up after that, there wasn't really a time where I was going to say, you know what, I'm just going to quit it. I had to finish this song for my mom, because it's one she wanted to do. And I never got to play it for her. So, Raymond, we've gotten frustrated together trying to figure out notes, but he has always been supportive of learning this song. For 20 seconds of the song, it normally took us 20 minutes to learn, and so it's a difficult song to play.
I think going through this process, learning to play the tune, has been wonderful for Samantha, because it's a way that she can be close to her mother.
Because you have to challenge yourself. If you don't challenge yourself in life or in anything that you do, or you could sit there and say, hey, I'm going to do something that no one else is really doing right now, and I'm going to make myself something.
Welcome back to Hear Me Roar. I'm Jordan, and today we're here with Jessica Farrell. Thanks for being on the show, Jessica.
No problem.
So you're a senior math and physics major.
Right.
How tough has that been?
It's been a journey, we'll say that, yeah. Very busy.
How'd you get into this field?
So it was kind of a rough start for me in the beginning. I came into college really not knowing what I wanted to do. I started out with biology and chemistry, then I went to history and international studies, and then I finally ended up on math and physics. So it's been interesting with my majors and everything.
Have you had your previous majors help prepare you for your final two?
A little bit. Definitely learned some science skills in the biology and chemistry, and then also some writing skills. So it's kind of helped me get like an interdisciplinary kind of focus and everything. So it's helped. Yeah.
Where do you plan on going with all this knowledge?
So with all this knowledge, it's been interesting for me because also I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I recently interned at the Department of Energy over the summer in Washington, D.C. And in that, I kind of learned about public policy and technology. So combining the use of technology and then also how we legislate it, and then also look at the economics of it. So that was one thing that I learned over the summer. So I've kind of switched everything over into that gear. So I'm actually attending graduate school this fall at MIT. A little surprising for me, but it's a master's in technology and policy, where I'll be looking at like energy and environmental policy and everything.
Is there a dream job you want to capture, or just as long as you're kind of doing what you're doing?
Not quite. I'd like to work for the government, definitely after I graduate, and then maybe go on for a PhD later and look at teaching or something, but just too far in the future for me, yeah.
Now, as a woman, have you faced any obstacles being a woman in such a male-dominant field?
I'll have to say, since I was coming from such a strange background, going into classes and seeing like a room full of guys, and there being maybe 50 guys and like 4 girls, it was a little intimidating at first. And kind of going in, I felt like I needed to kind of prove myself, which is kind of silly to think now, but I felt like I really needed to prove myself. And so, I studied really hard, and I felt like I had to work 110%. But whenever I started doing so well and everything, it was comforting to know that, all these other guys that are the future scientists and engineers, all the guys that you think of and stuff. So it was cool that I could actually compete with them and everything. So that was one struggle that I had to kind of overcome in the beginning. But I'm also a tutor here at Moorhead, and a lot of times I talk to women in math and physics degrees and everything, and kind of help them through the same process that I was going through, encouraging them and everything. So it's been really fulfilling for me, especially to help them.
Any of the younger girls who might be interested in getting into a STEM field, what advice would you have for them?
Definitely just be confident, or at least show that you're confident, even if you feel a little woozy on the inside. One thing that I really lacked whenever I was there was really a group of people that I could talk to. And so one thing that I actually applied for a grant at, and I got it. It's $900, and we're starting a Women in Physics Club here on campus. Yeah, and it will be starting in the fall. And with this, we're really going to encourage women of all disciplines. If they're interested in physics or if they'd like to be a part of it, we'll be a part of that. And we're going to work with local Girl Scout troops and everything to kind of encourage them to do science and talk about some of the challenges that women in science face.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Is there a way to get involved with the Women in Physics Club now, or wait till the fall?
We'll probably be starting our meetings in the next month, planning for, because I'm leaving and everything, so we're gonna have to find some people. But yeah, we'll be starting in the next month. There'll be flyers everywhere, so if people are interested, definitely check it out. And yeah,
wonderful. Well, best of luck at MIT. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Coming up next, EKU's Women's Study Department put on a very interesting presentation that touched on a lot of issues we face in society. That's coming up right now.
I was loud. It is appreciation. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up.
I think it's really opened me up to different views of women throughout the world. It tries to highlight a lot of the issues that trans women have and their struggles.
Well, red and pink are obviously vagina colors, and gray and black are kind of there to be the neutral slash hold the darker side, or the kind of parts that we don't like to talk about a lot.
I've loved it ever since.
Taking away perspective and power as a woman, because most of the time we talk about, like life and everything else, but we don't talk about what it actually means to be a woman. And every day whenever we go outside, what it means to have to fight that fight every day.
And this is also part of, this. You have to include everyone in feminism, not just white women or minority women or anyone. You have to include everyone part of that community as a whole and around the world.
The Vagina Monologues overall really opened your eyes to how many different issues face women.
And I was amazed by everyone on stage and how powerful and just amazing all of the women were, and I had to be a part of it.
Feminism is not just about white women. Feminism is not just about women who are, mid to high-end socioeconomic status. Like, feminism and the fight for equality affects every person. And that is something that has so closely been developed by my participation in the Vagina Monologues, because I get to see different experiences, like Kristen said, different experiences, different perspectives, and I just have grown to appreciate people that I work with and I see and I meet every single day, because we don't know that struggle. And as a feminist, it pushes me to, be an army in that fight for equality.
Welcome back to Hear Me Roar. I'm Jordan, and we're here with Olivia Scholl. Thanks for being on the show, Olivia.
You're fine.
So you'll be singing us a song?
Yes,
what can you
yes,
tell us about it?
I'm singing a song called This Place Is Mine. It's about basically a opera singer who's like the diva of the show. She runs the opera, she's in charge of everything, so she's kind of like this empowering woman who's, like, this place is mine, I'm in charge of it, I do all the cleaning, I do all this, I'm not going to let someone push me around. So she kind of says that in the song.
Do you ever feel like you're that in the theater department?
Sometimes, I like control. I'm kind of on the OCD side, so I like to be in control of situations. So I kind of feel like I'm along that lines. I was in a program called Talented and Gifted for leadership, so kind of have that as a background. Yeah.
Very cool. Olivia, thank you so much for being on our show and closing us out. This is our final show for the spring semester. I'm very grateful you've tuned in with us tonight. I'd like to thank our guests who showed up today and have showed up in past shows. I'd like to thank our viewers, and I'd like to thank our cast and crew here in Morehead State University. Olivia, take it away.
Where does the time fly? Simply too few hours in the day. Oh, what diva's work is never done. No relief, no time for fun. Not if the diva has to run an opera company. Every small detail to supervise, every pretty face to scrutinize. I blend beneath these eyes, this opera company. Why take on this such a straw? Sleepless nights I pace across my bedroom floor. Why do I live completely for this opera company? 'Cause it's mine, from the stalls to the portraits on the walls, to the balconies and loges far and near. It belongs all to me, every item that you see, from the cellar to the crystal chandelier, from the fluted marble grand facade to the elevated promenade, from every toilet bowl to every leading room. This place is mine. I will sing, I will glow, I will never let it go. I will hold it ever captive in my hand. Like a god, like a queen, I will enter any scene and control it like the kingdom I command. And I pity any baritone who attempts to tread the stage I own with no polite request. He's here at my behest, 'cause it's all mine. My curtain and my canopy, my song, my key, my chart, my grand destiny. From here my life will start. I'll be out on the stage, looking great at half my age. Every chance I get, I'll get 'em on their feet. I won't